Hello, kings and queens. Thank you for tuning in. As you may have noticed, we have scheduled an interview today. It's going to be a phenomenal one, and I'm super excited to bring on someone who is so close to my heart, who I adore and admire, who I've done life with for over a decade. And we used to team up for the Power of Women series, which a lot of you probably were a part of. And so we're back. We're back. She's back from London. She's here in the United States, and she has become a doctor. Next level. Yes, we're so excited for her. This is Dr. Q. So I'm going to give you her bio really quickly, and then I'm going to bring her on screen. But today we're going to be discussing healthy coping skills, navigating this crazy world in this pandemic. And so I hope that Dr. Q, with everything that she's had to deal with in her life and now professionally, can help give us some tools that we can use in everyday life. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about her. Dr. Quevarra has traveled the world sharing her journey gracefully, navigating the hurdles of maintaining personal mental health while supporting a loved one's mental illness. Her journey encourages others to obtain support and resources to help them through their personal journey. That's the second part, actually. I missed the very beginning, so I apologize. But she's originally from Houston, Texas, and she's an international expert in leadership, learning, and teaching and mental health support. She currently serves as the Deputy Executive Director of NAMI Central Texas. Dr. Moten received her doctorate of education in transformational leadership at Concordia University, Portland, Oregon. Dr. Quevarra believes that transformation first begins as a thought. She received her Master's of Science in Leadership from Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. Dr. Quevarra received her bachelor's degree in communications from Prairie View A&M University. Woo woo for all the alum out there. So if there is a question that you would love her to answer, this is very interactive, everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her on screen. Hey, Dr. Q, welcome,
Hi.
welcome. I'll be
Thank
more than happy to
you.
facilitate those questions from you. But we're going to dig right in. Dr. Q, that just is mind-boggling being able to say that. I am so excited for you. Congratulations on being
Thank
a doctor.
you.
How
And
was
thank you
that
for
journey?
having me. You are amazing. You have been my sister over a decade, and I am so humbled to be here with you today.
Oh, you're just a beautiful person inside and out. And I can't wait to share you with the world. So we're here now, doing this again, teaming up. This is like the best is yet to come. 2021, better watch out. Here we come, world.
We are on the way.
How is that doctorate process? Because you finished that while you were living abroad. Tell us about that.
I believe that was just a hazing process. I think it was something to mold and shape me and bring me to this point. And I'm here to say, if I can do that, as my attention, it's hard for me to keep my attention span longer than 5 minutes. But if I can do that, anybody can do it. And I'm humbled that I finished and grateful that I finished. But yeah, it's been a different world. It's been a different world.
Yes. 2020 was, I think we're getting a little bit of an echo. Do you hear that? I don't know if there's another device. Can you hear that on your end? If people out there, can you hear an echo? Let me know. Okay, we're going to go on. But just, coming out of 2020 and coming into 2021, we are dealing with more mental health than ever before. And we're trying to fight against that stigma. And what you're getting to do now has been a calling on your life. And I feel like the doors just open up for you as soon as you came back from London. So let's start with your journey dealing with mental health and how it has become, how it's called you and why you're doing this now, working for the National Alliance of Mental Illness?
You know, the mental health journey began long before I even know it begun.
Yeah.
And even in understanding, I was actually a caregiver of my mother for over 14 years. Me and my brother partnered to navigate that journey. And in the midst of the journey, I had no idea how we could help her because we didn't even know what was wrong. And all of a sudden, just to make a long story short, she ended up being placed in the Williamson County jail for attacking me. And I told the sheriff, I don't want her arrested. This is a mental health illness. Why are we criminalizing mental health? Um, and he told me this was the only thing I could do to get her help, and that was back in 2009. And so, actually, when she went into the Williamson County Jail, is when someone referred me to NAMI Austin at the time. So we've since become NAMI Central Texas, but at the time, me and my brother had no idea how to navigate the criminal justice system with our mother and get her the help she needed. But she didn't do anything to be arrested. But at the time, that was the only support and resource that they knew. Send her through the jail system. She'll get diagnosed and she'll get the help that she needed. And I reached out to NAMI. NAMI connected me with an attorney that helped us navigate the criminal justice system and get my mother moved from Williamson County Jail to Ash, and then from Ash to the San Gabriel Crisis Center in Georgetown. And that is where she was diagnosed and treated properly, treated like a human. And even with cognitive therapy, different ways of treating and supporting her journey and being diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And so that was a whole new term to me, because for years, my mother was an ordained minister. And so
Wow.
for me, it was, when someone would ask me, how is your mother doing? And I would be like, oh, she's blessed and highly favored, because at the time I couldn't differentiate between scripture and religion and getting support and resources for her. And so this whole experience opened me up how I allowed my religious beliefs to prevent me from getting the support that she needed.
I want to talk more about that, our religious beliefs and support. Why do you feel there is such a huge stigma against getting counseling or getting help when it comes to, you run to your church a lot of times to get the help? Do you feel that they're not properly equipped, or what would you say is the
Well,
issue?
for me, once I found out all the resources and help that was available, I was so angry with the church and I knew it wasn't necessarily the church, it was just my mother was an ordained minister, prophetess. She led the prayer team for TBN in Houston. And here it is this powerhouse, this woman who could lay hands on you and you knew you were going to be healed, even if she just looked at you. That was my mother. That was who she was. And so for me, I grew up, my mother put scripture in us. So we knew, be careful what you speak. There's so much power in what you speak over circumstances and everything. So all I knew was to try to speak life to the situation. In actuality, I was paralyzing myself with getting the support. And even my brother, we just be like, we're not going to believe what we see. We're going to just speak life. Well, we kept speaking life and nothing was happening. And I'm like, well, God, are you listening to us? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
And it all came down to this, is that God has seasoned the land to give us tools and resources to support us on this journey. And if we just start acknowledging that scripture is powerful, scripture is real, our spiritual beliefs are real, but they both can be parallel in helping you navigate the journey of mental health.
That is so true, and you have so much of that prayer warrior in you, and I have no idea, but I am getting feedback when I speak, so I don't know what to do to get that to stop, so I apologize, everyone. Hopefully, you can overlook that and continue to hear the great words of Dr. Quevarra. Also, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Soulspiration with Evelina, and I have the privilege and honor of interviewing Dr. Q, is what I call her. And she is the deputy executive of the National Alliance of Mental Illness in Central Texas. And I am just delighted to have her on. But if you have any questions for her, make sure that you are putting those in the comments so that she can address them. But just, I want to say, Q, you have been an inspiration to me in my life and in my prayer life. And so you have a lot of what you're talking your mom has. You've inherited those gifts. And she would just be, I mean, she's looking down right now, just smiling, so happy with how far you have come in navigating something that was so tragic and turning what I call a scary mess into a powerful message. You've done a phenomenal job of that. And I want to just say, congratulations, because a lot of people are in your shoes right now, not knowing where to go, who to ask, help for, and what kind of resources they have and what kind of support. So could you talk to that? What kind of support is there through NAMI? How can people be helped during these trying times?
Well, the beautiful part about the resources and support is because we're all at home, all the resources and support at NAMI are available online. And so when you think about NAMI, think about education, think about advocacy, and think about support. So we not only have online support groups for those who have family members with mental illness, but we also have classes, education classes. We have support groups for those with mental illness called Connections. So there's a lot of different resources and classes and education opportunities that are available just for you. And you can access these resources by going to our website, and it is NAMICentralTX.org. NAMICentralTX.org, and then click on education, and you can register right there for our online support groups. Even if you are a parent navigating mental illness of your child, we have a new program. It's called Lighthouse. And Lighthouse is an amazing opportunity for parents to connect with our parent resource navigator. So, it's already overwhelming to be a parent of a child who has mental illness, but with the Parent Resource Navigator, they are available to walk parents through the overwhelming amount of resources to allow them to help navigate their child's mental health journey. And so all these resources are available free at no cost to you. And so we just want the community to know that NAMI Central Texas is here for City of Austin, Williamson County, Hayes County, Caldwell County, all the surrounding counties. We are here to support you, especially during the current times. And we want the community to partner with us so that we can get the message out that these resources are available.
That is great. I'm happy to hear that, because just working with elementary students and seeing what they're going through right now, a lot of them doing virtual classes, and the teens, and just seeing some of the suicide rates go up because of dealing with something that they've never had to deal with before, and parents just not knowing where to turn to for education and resources. And I'm so thankful that there is NAMI, and that is there for people to be able to access. Dr. Q, you are a phenomenal gifted speaker as well. And you and I have teamed up for workshops in the past, and we've talked about putting on your mask first, taking care of yourself. What are some tips that you would give to people during these times of how they could do a better job of taking care of themselves and putting their mask on first?
I think it's really important to acknowledge that you're human. And I can give you an example with myself. Navigating my mother's mental health journey really took a toll on me. And I was in graduate school back in '08, and I was dismissed from the program. Our mother was in mental health crisis. I think I was going through a divorce. And at the time, I didn't even know how to navigate the heaviness of it all. And I attempted to drive my car off a Mopac in 183. Now, gratefully, that didn't happen, but I was so busy taking care of everyone else that I lost my own sense of hope. I lost my own sense of ability to navigate that I needed help. So immediately after that, I went into therapy. One of my girlfriends called me as soon as my car hit the embankment, and she's like, "What are you doing? God told me to call you." And she just started praying for me. And I think it is also, as friends and family of strong individuals who you see carrying the weight most of the time, I think it's so important to ask real questions. Don't just be like, "Hey, how you doing?" I think it's so important that you stop and pause and say, "How are you really doing?" And have these authentic conversations with each other. Because I think even in a pandemic, even with working from home, we can be so caught up in the busy that we neglect the very people we love the most. Um, and think about those that don't have friends and family around. It's just important to stop and say, "How are you really doing?" And pause and give someone like me, who's so strong most of the time, an opportunity to really answer, "I'm not well. I need help and I need support." So I think it's important that we get therapy. Now through the pandemic, they've made therapy so affordable. You have all kinds of options and resources. And again, if you go to the NAMI centraltx.org website, we have a lot of resources of therapy that's available. And I think everybody should be in therapy, especially now. This is traumatic. This is trauma. And we're all living through this trauma. This is something that just hasn't happened in our lifetime. And so it's important to seek resources, seek support, and be authentic in what it is that you need. And I think the more we focus on really exercising self care and taking better care of ourselves spiritually, physically, mentally, then we can exercise putting our mask on first. And what does that really look like?
So just to reiterate what you're talking about, a lot of strong people are out there and are saying things are okay, but those are the people you really need to check on,
Yes.
especially when your answer is like, "I'm fine. I'm doing fine." And you can tell that they're not fine. You have to ask a deeper question and be able to connect. I think during these times as well, you've touched up on this, but just having that community, that connection, because a lot of people aren't getting that socialization that they usually do. They're at home alone a lot. It's hard. It's hard for people like myself who's an extrovert, and I'm sure you as well,
Yes.
being an extrovert and just not having that kind of human connection. Are you still doing a lot of stuff from home virtually? Or do you
I
get
am
your
still virtual.
you're still virtual?
I
How
go in
have
maybe once a week to just touch things in the office, but then I'm home.
yeah, you're good. How have you been able to manage just working from home and doing everything from home, being a single person, living at home? How have you been able to keep sane during these times? What are some of the things you're doing?
Well, number one is I'm reaching out more to friends and family, but I have also found because I've been isolated so long, moving back in the middle of a pandemic and catching COVID and being in the hospital, being in a COVID hotel, I have been so isolated that I have to be careful that I've become so comfortable by myself. And that's the part that I know is not healthy because I could stay in the house for days at a time because I have everything I need. And then before I know it, my neighbors will start knocking because now I've gotten to know my neighbors. And so now if they don't see me, they're like, "Where is she? You okay?" They'll send a little text. And so I think it's important that we each build a sense of community. Whatever that may look like, build a sense of community and just be accountable, not to the whole world, but just be accountable to a small few. And that way we can support each other and walk with each other through this pandemic.
And be honest, right? Be
Yes.
honest of your true feelings. Don't say you've got it when you really don't. And it's hard for people who are super independent, as you were speaking about. It's hard for them to admit, I'm the one that always gives help, and now I need help. It's
Yes.
my season to receive it. I know it can be difficult, but I'm so glad that you have a community close by that is able to check in, neighbors that notice if you're home or not. And that's important. Just as important it is, to stay connected, having that community, letting
Mhm.
people know I'm okay today or today I'm not, Thank you for checking in on me. But the other thing I want to talk about, you talked about having COVID yourself. So
Yes.
you came from London during a time where COVID was pretty much at its height,
Hmm.
and you're able to leave there without having it. And then you come into the States. How long were you here before you contracted it?
I came at the end of April and I caught COVID in June. And I was on lockdown in London for almost over a month. We were in lockdown. And it was just so, but I really believe that it happened so that I would stay in Austin because I wasn't trying to move to Austin. I, I had
God is
actually
like,
just came.
be still and know that I am God. Sit down.
And it was so, I was living in Dallas. So when I moved back to America, I was actually living in Dallas. And I was living in Dallas and I had already started setting up shop in Dallas. And all of a sudden, I was like, okay, well, I have an interview in Austin. Let me just go to Austin for this interview and then just kind of take a look around and start getting things set up maybe in Austin. Well, I went to Austin, I caught COVID, and then I ended up in the ICU. And then from the ICU, I was in ICU, what, a little bit, almost 2 weeks, and then went to the COVID floor. And then I was transferred to the COVID hotel. And it was a journey. I was isolating. It was almost like God is saying, "You're not going nowhere. You're supposed to be here in Austin, and you're not going nowhere. So you need to find a place to live." So it was so interesting because the day I went into ICU is also the day that I accepted the job with NAMI Central Texas. And I don't know, when I was in ICU, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to lose this job. But no, they said just get better. And I was able to start later once I had recovered. But it's been a journey. And I'm like, okay, God, you wanted me to come back to America. I came back. You didn't have to put me down like that, but
Mhm.
I needed it. I needed, because sometimes I just need to be still. And that was the beautiful part. And part of what I've learned throughout this time is that pieces of our life, they add up to purpose. And every piece of this journey, from transitioning from England back to America, all of the pieces add up to the pieces I had even left here. Because the mere fact that I started as a volunteer with NAMI over 11 years ago, and then a board member, I taught the classes. So I was a volunteer with NAMI. And I had been in higher ed over 18 years. So for me, the fact that he was we serve a God that's so intentional, that he took the very pieces of my life years before and connected them with
That's
2020.
it's like a full circle moment from the time you needed them, trying to figure out who they were, what kind of resources they provided and services, to now you get to provide that for people.
Yes,
He is a God of details.
every piece will matter. It may not matter in this moment, it may not even matter in this season, but every piece fits for purpose.
I love that. I love I also want to just touch on COVID. You talk about being in ICU. You talk about being in the COVID hospital. You're one of the only people I know that has had that transitional phase. How long did that process well, first of all, what kind of symptoms did you have for people out there that maybe haven't had it? And I know each case is very different. So giving people some knowledge on that, like what was it that you experienced? And then what were some of the things that went through your mind as you were in ICU and then in the hotel? What did God say to you in those moments?
Well, some of the first symptoms I had was loss of taste, loss of appetite completely. Um, and then I couldn't breathe. Like, even to do the smallest task, I was walking around my girlfriend's house and I was like, I think you better call an ambulance because I can't breathe. So the ambulance came and they said, we think she needs to go in. And as soon as I walked into the hospital and they took my oxygen levels, I went right into, they admitted me immediately. And then they blocked me off from everyone. And everyone started coming in with the spacesuits. And this particular hospital in Round Rock didn't take COVID patients. So they sent me in an ambulance downtown. And I remember being in the back of the ambulance and it was going so fast. And I was like, am I already dead? What's
Yeah.
happening? Like, I didn't know, but it was so urgent that they put me in an ambulance and they sped. So I've never been in the back of an ambulance where they're speeding to take me somewhere. And in that moment, I was talking to God and I said, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. And then when I got into ICU, they started doing everything, putting oxygen stuff on me in ICU. And all I saw was lights and people in suits. I couldn't see anyone's face. And it was the scariest thing I could ever imagine. And I just heard God say, just trust me. Just keep trusting me. But then there's that human side of me, and I was like, okay, I think I'm
Is this
leaving.
it?
And I
Yeah.
I thought I was leaving. And then my mom, I know she had been gone 4 years, but she comes in there and saying, get up. And I'm like, you're not happy to see me, And she's like, get up. You got stuff to do. And so I asked the nurse through the mask because he could barely hear me. So he lifted up the mask and I said, can you put me up on my side? Can you just put me up? Because I kept hearing my mom. She was just standing in the room. And she was upset with me, like, get up. What are you doing? And I'm like, I didn't do this.
He's
So
like, this is not your out. This is not your time. Your
it's
work
not
is not
time.
done here.
And it was something to see people leaving around me. That piece, no one could hide you from that. Because, in ICU, you got all glass windows. And so you saw everything. You saw ventilators lined up, like, you know, that experience changed my life. And because of that, I don't want to miss a moment. I don't want to miss a moment to embrace the now and what I have to do because tomorrow is not promised. And a lot of us have lost a lot of loved ones. I've lost a lot of loved ones and friends, and my friends have lost their loved ones. And it's just, this is a time to really take hold of this moment and where you are in this moment and how to support yourself through the journey, but also keeping yourself safe and being proactive in knowing how to protect yourself and keeping yourself covered in prayer, but not just relying on prayer. There's a parallel in making sure you have support and resources to help you navigate because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. I didn't think I would wake up and have COVID. I didn't think I would wake up and be in ICU, but that process had to happen to give me a check. And I remember, I'm going to tell this story, Evelina, because when I got to the COVID floor, I know this may be too much information for Facebook, but I just have to say it.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it.
I was, you had to learn how, because I couldn't get up and walk. I couldn't walk. So they had to put this contraption on me, and you had to go to the bathroom while you're laying in that bed. And I kept calling the nurses and I was saying, I have to go, I have to go. And they said, Miss Moten, just go, just let go. And I couldn't. So for hours and hours, I was just on this path of, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm just not. And they were like, you can't walk right now. And accepting that, I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even do the basic things that humans do. And after I reached about the 3 hour limit, I couldn't hold it anymore. And I heard God say, let go. And I let go. Evelina, I think I probably filled that thing up twice. They had to keep coming back to change it but it was just the freeing of let go. And I reflected, and in that moment, I thought, wow, God, okay, aha, I get it. You've been trying to get me to let go of everything that I have been holding on. It's just been weighing me down and weighing me down.
Wow, Dr. Q, let go, let God.
Let go. Sometimes we just have to let go and just watch what happens. And that's the fun part. That is the real fun part. And just really understanding that God wants us to let go, trust Him, and watch the way He works it out. It's the most freeing thing ever.
Getting to do life with you for over a decade, I've gotten to see you walk out these miracles. And a lot of this happened in your life. And just you walking through COVID during that time and talking to you, seeing you hooked up to the oxygen, trying to FaceTime you, you barely able to speak even a couple of words without getting winded and exhausted and just wondering, I believe so much in the power of prayer. And I knew from New Braunfels, Texas, that's what I could do at that moment. But just seeing what was going to happen next. And I knew God was going to use that for his glory and his honor. Just taking you from that hospital bed, raising you up and speaking and just breathing life back into you to be able to do what you're doing now. And when you told me you accepted that job with NAMI, I just knew he had to get you out of ICU. He had to get you out of that COVID
Mhm.
hotel
Yeah.
because you have this great mission and this work to still do. And there are people waiting to hear your powerful story. There are people who your story might be their survival guide.
Yes.
So we're going to speak into existence that book. We're going to speak into existence that podcast because Dr. Q has just begun. And I cannot wait to be able to team up with you more and do some more of our workshops and do things like this interview. You are the first interview that I've gotten to do on this new platform,
Oh,
StreamYard.
wow. I feel so honored. And to be speaking with soul to soul with Evelina. I am just elated. You are amazing. And I am so humbled that I get to do life with you. You have been a gift to me
I'm
since
gonna
the
make me
day
cheer
I
up.
met
Stop.
you.
We're on an interview.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
You have blessed me in so many ways, and I know you're blessing the people listening right now. And again, if you're just tuning in, #live. If you're watching this on replay, #replay. If you have questions for Dr. Q, we want to hear from you, even if you're watching this on replay. We want to know if there's maybe something you're struggling with when it comes to your mental well-being. If there's some kind of a wellness issue that you have been wanting to talk about or someone you've been needing to come in contact with, she can reach out to those people. And if she doesn't know, she will find the answer for you. Dr. Q has helped me in so many areas in my life, and getting to see her walk through her journey with mental illness of caretaking for her mother and the tragedy of having to lose her and seeing that grief and that process that's taken place and how she's gained this new strength because I feel like her mom is just living right through her to be able to do these amazing things. But like I said, I know this is just the beginning, and we've talked about bigger stages and bigger platforms. You actually have a word for 2021. Do you do the words, or do you have like a big goal that you are trying to accomplish? Can you share with us?
Yes, I am pleased to announce, and this is the first time I am announcing this out loud. My
Woohoo! Right here on Full Inspiration with Evelina and Dr. Q. Go ahead.
my book will be out and ready for sale this spring. And my podcast, Every Day with Dr. Q, is set to begin in February. And so I am so excited. And I think Every Day with Dr. Q, the book, Quevarra Speaks, Travel and Speaking, you can come follow me on Clubhouse, Twitter, my YouTube channel, Every Day with Dr. Q. We are just about to do everything that God called us to do and not be afraid of it because the moment is now.
That
The
is
moment
right.
is now.
You've had the same kind of experience with COVID. Not that I've had. I have not, thankfully just praying for protection on that. But when it does come, if we have to go over that hurdle, just praying the Lord's just safety and that we can walk through that as well. But you've had that same near death, experience, that come to Jesus moment of, where are my priorities? What is it that I still need to do? Because when you feel like death and you are so close to it, you don't even recognize people in the room or things going on. I mean, it just, like you said, changes your whole perspective. You realize that today is a gift and that you'll never get this moment again. And you want to breathe that into other people because some people are just sleepwalking through life. Let's face it. We know a lot of people that are just doing their everyday to-dos. It becomes routine. They're not being stretched out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
And I feel in order to grow, you have to be stretched, right? We
So
all need that. And I see that you have been stretched a lot in the last decade, and now just getting to go into these like uncharted territories, but with God in front of you, all things are possible. And I am so excited to see what the future has and holds for you.
thank you.
Is
Thank
there
you so
any, we
much.
know how to get a hold of you, obviously, Clubhouse, you said Twitter, YouTube, here on Facebook, you have Quevarra
Instagram,
and you have Dr.
Everyday Dr.
Quevarra.
Q.
You are on everything.
Um,
You're doing it all.
Everyday Dr. Q on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Dr. Quevarra Speaks. Um, just reach out to me if you need support, you need resources, you don't know how to navigate it. I can connect you to people who can help you navigate it. And so, and I also want to make sure that people know it's okay to get grief support as well during this time. And we just want to support you with different resources.
That is
Thank you
beautiful.
so much for having me. My gift, Miss Evelina.
You
So
are a
you
true blessing. You are a treasure. If you do not know her, you need to connect now. Like she said, time is precious, y'all. And if you're missing out on this blessing, then I don't know what to tell you because because you need to jump on it. You're gonna see and read what I get to see on a regular basis. You're gonna see all that Quevarra has to share with the world. And she walks into a room, she lights it up.
thank you.
She lives with her heart on fire, and you need to be a part of that because it is contagious. It truly is. Dr. Q, do you want to give any last words of inspiration or just, tips to help people? You've gotten to share a lot already, but I just wanted to give you that last opportunity of anything that you might have forgotten to tell us.
um, I just want to reiterate, it is okay to take off your cape. No one has designated you a superhero. You do not have a superpower. The real superpower is asking for help and support. And there are a lot of resources that can do just that for you. So take off your cape.
All right. Take off your cape, everyone. Reach out, stay connected, use this support, these resources. And that's all we got for you for today. Oh, here we go. I'm going to put up a comment for us. Dee thank you for tuning in. Dee such a great supporter. She says, great. We can take off our cape.
Yes, take it off.
Take it off, girl. Take it off. Even Superman was not always Superman. He was Clark Kent, right? And then
Yes.
he puts on his superhero costume. So sometimes we just need to rest and relax. And even God had to take a day off.
Let's take it off.
Created the world and still took a day off, everybody. We need to stop being human doings and be human beings.
That's it.
And I feel that just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. Let's face it. Right? Is your life full of activities or is it full of meaning? We need to ask ourselves those kind of questions. Dr. Q, thank you. Thank you for putting everything into perspective. Thank you for sharing your story and your heart. It has been an honor to
Yeah.
interview you for my first broadcast. Oh, Viri says she has a serious question. Would you like to
Okay.
ask me before we get off? Perfect timing. I love interaction. This is what I'm talking about. Take Viri's lead. Ask a question to Dr. Q. I think she's going to come with it here in a second. So I want to make sure we address that. If you don't want to ask here on the comments, Viri, you can always direct message us.
Yeah.
See if that pops up. All right, I was just checking the comments. I have to deal with the little banners here. Like I said, this is our first time using StreamYard for a dual interview, so it's really exciting because I get to use all these fun features. But I don't see it coming through. Oh, here we go. She says, I have someone close to me who lives alone. Okay. Is there...
Oh, we talked about suicide. I want to make sure I get the National Suicide Prevention hotline to you because it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I will make sure I get that information to you. Oh, and she has COVID. Definitely, I'm going to get that phone number to you as soon as we end the broadcast. But the suicide prevention number is 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's also located on the in the crisis section on our website, NAMI centraltx.org. And that information is available. So even the 24-hour, 7 days a week resources that you need for crisis such as this, that support is available to you 24 hours, 7 days a week. And so I will definitely get that phone number to you. It just may be that that person needs some additional support right now. So we need to get that to them.
Thank you, Dr. I wonder if those that talk about it may not actually do it.
Well, I think it's important for us not to be the decision maker over that. So anytime it's mentioned, it needs to be treated with cautious and seriousness. So even if people are just talking about it, that's something that warrants getting additional support. And so you don't want to be the person that decides, oh, are they serious or are they not serious? No, that's not your decision to make, but your decision is to make sure that person gets help and support regardless of what you may think.
And it could just be their cry for help where they do need that additional support. And yeah, I agree with you. You know, we cannot make that decision for them. We don't know what they're feeling. Let's see.
And I love what she's saying, send flowers, and sometimes tokens of love help people. You got to think a lot of people are isolated right now. I send Tiff's treats to my neighbors. I pick random neighbors and I send Tiff's treats to because you don't know what people's journey is right now. And so little tokens of love is always helpful. Um, in addition to providing for support, just keeping in mind not to replace the token with the support. You can do both, and that will make sure that it's covered on each side. When you think about it, when you sit in a chair, you don't sit in a chair with 3 legs or 2 legs. You sit in a chair with 4 legs. Why? Because it needs to be supported at different angles. And so I think it's important that we support each other at different angles. And so I commend you, Verdina.
Diana.
I
Yeah,
commend you. I commend you for even acknowledging or seeing that support is needed. So kudos to you. And I hope most of us can start taking those same lessons as you have at just acknowledging and seeing who needs help and how to support them. So I commend you for that.
Just something we do here in our household. We have neighbors next door to us who are elderly and they don't have a lot of family or family close by. We make extra food and we just randomly deliver it over there because they need to be visited as well and they need to be checked on. And like you said, those people who are living alone that you know, maybe you're not the best of friends with them, but you know and have seen them walking alone. It's good to check in on them. If God is nudging you to do something, there is a reason. It could be their last day or they feel like taking their life. And you could be the phone call or the visit that helped them to get through that hard day.
I
And
want to say this phone number out loud.
okay, go
Can I?
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
It is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. I'm going to say that number one more time. And this number is 24 hours, 7 days a week. And it's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255.
Thank you. Thank you for providing that for our audience today. And I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen and to hear this broadcast and this interview today. We really appreciate it. And I just wanted to say thank you to our special guest of the hour, Dr. Quevarra Moten, who is I want to make sure I'm getting this right, Deputy Executive Director of NAMI Central Texas. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right. And she is at Quevarra Speaks, as she was talking in Every Day with Quevarra. You're going to want to tune in. Believe me, you're not going to want to miss out. I just wanted to let you know to continue to smile, sparkle, and shine. But most of all, y'all, be kind. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. God bless y'all.
Thank you. God bless.